Wars, persecution and violence are uprooting a record number of people from their homes. The UN says more than 120 million people are displaced. That's 1 in 69 people on the planet. And these figures are from last year. Every day, more and more people are being forced from their homes in Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, and in conflicts around the world. But despite the darkness, the displacement and hardship, 37 athletes at the Paris Olympics are giving a glimmer of hope with their resilience and courage. This year, the refugee team is the largest since its inception at the Rio Games in 2016. Well, among them is Mohammad Amin Alsalami. He fled Syria for Germany nearly a decade ago. And although he is happy to compete at the Olympics, he wishes he could represent his home country. David Stokes reports.
Mohammad Amin Alsalami arrived in Berlin in 2015. The promising young athlete had escaped war in Syria, crossed the Mediterranean in a rubber boat, and then walked the rest of the way to Germany. One of his first goals on arrival was to find a gym so he could practice long jump again.
Sport for me has really been my life, especially here in Germany. I'm all alone. Life in Germany is not easy. It's really not easy. But when I'm in training, especially when I perform well, this joy, it's such a great feeling.
29-year-old Al-Salami has been granted asylum in Germany and is one of 36 athletes in the IOC's refugee team for Paris 2024, benefiting from a scholarship program which helps fund their training.
Germany and the refugee team have given me a lot of support to get there, that's not an issue. But when we say for which country or for whom I will compete, of course I would like to compete for Syria.
Al-Salami was 15 when he discovered long jump and won Syria's national schools championships. It's been a grueling journey since, but last year in Budapest he competed at the World Athletics Championships.
I've been fighting with myself really hard to improve my performance for the Olympics and want to at least make it to the final to show that we are there because we are competitive athletes and not just refugees.
He won't wear the Syrian colours in Paris, but by achieving his dream of competing at an Olympics, Al-Salami will represent more than 100 million forcibly displaced people around the world. David Stokes, Al Jazeera.
Let's bring in our correspondent Bernard Smith. He's joining us from Paris with the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi. And Bernard, Filippo Grandi took part in the torch relay to represent the world's forcibly displaced.
He did, yes, Elizabeth, representing 120 million forcibly displaced people in the world at the moment, largely a lot of it due to conflict. And Filippo Grandi is with me here in Paris now. Filippo, first of all, 36 athletes in the IOC refugee team this year. Why so many?
In fact, 37. And I think there are two reasons. One is positive. We have the International Olympic Committee that leads this project with the support of UNHCR has expanded it from the 10 that were present in Rio de Janeiro, but also in a more somber way. This reflects the reality of the 120 million displaced and refugees, the largest figure we've had since we started seriously counting these people.
And there were calls for an Olympic truce before the start of the Games, but little heed was paid to that, was there?
Unfortunately, but I think it's important to say it. It's important to, symbols are important. And in a world that is unable to make peace, to say that this should be a moment of peace is extremely important. Also for the refugees.
Philippe, why is it important to have a refugee team in the Olympics?
To show that refugees, first of all, are people like others, young people that want to compete, to win medals, to be in a larger sports community, but also because it shows that when they're given an opportunity, refugees give back, contribute. And in this case, they contribute beautifully through athletic prowess.
I mean, there are so often as well sort of faceless refugees, because there's so many of them. We hear these 120 million plus. This puts faces to refugees, names to refugees.
Yes, these are the visible 37 that speak, run, jump, fight, also on behalf of the other 120 million.
I have to ask you about the current conflict in Gaza, because that is in the news again this morning, because yet another place where refugees are hiding out, seeking refuge has been hit by Israeli bombardments. Are you making any headway in getting improved access for your people in Gaza?
UNHCR is not directly involved, but the United Nations humanitarian agencies are. It's very slow, very difficult, and vastly insufficient for the needs of the population trapped in Gaza in this insane conflict that must stop as soon as possible.
And Sudan as well, some of the largest numbers of refugees from Sudan. What are the challenges there for you?
A forgotten crisis, almost 10 million refugees and displaced, two military forces that do not listen to reason and keep fighting, and no funds to support the humanitarian response.
The project to have refugees in the Olympics, funded by the IOC, how important is it for them to have this representation now?
I think it's absolutely important. I've spent all these days, the first few days of the Olympic Games, with them. The enthusiasm, the strength, the energy that they convey is amazing. And I know that millions of refugees around the world, especially young refugees, follow them. It's a sign of hope for millions.
Do they really follow them as a refugee team? Do they connect to them? There's refugees there are, as we keep saying, 120 million of them.
You'd be surprised how much they follow. And in some places we have established facilities for them to follow, big screens and connections. And especially the countries where they come from, or the places where they have been refugees, they are known, their communities, they're very much followed, yes, with enthusiasm.
Filippo Grandi, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, thank you very much for talking to Al Jazeera this morning. There are 3 refugees taking part in events today in judo, boxing and the air rifle. Filippo Grandi is off to see the boxing this morning. Good luck to all of the refugees taking part. Back to the studio in Doha.
Bernard, thank you so much for that. Bernard Smith joining us live from Paris.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.